Welcome to QX Church. This is Pastor Scott Conway with Resolve Envy. We're in a short little series about temptation, about coveting, about envy, and we're talking about resolving envy, not resolving to envy, but if you're having a challenge with the concept of envy and it kind of intruding itself in your life, what do you do about it? We talked about the idea of temptation is when your emotions want to do something your will knows is wrong. That's temptation. The idea of lust connected to a temptation is when you would if you could. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be this big moral thing. It could be as simple a thing as you're on a diet, Thursday is your cheat day, it's Tuesday, you're at Cheesecake Factory, you want cheesecake, not allowed to have it. Temptation is you want it anyway. That's me, totally do. Lust is if you're there and you can have it, you're going to have it. Doesn't matter what the rules are, you're gonna break the rules. And of course, also obviously can apply to the bigger things. And the solution when you're at the lust level, where you would if you could, is that's when you build in structural solutions so you can't. We talked about coveting. Coveting is kind of a lust connected to possessions and things. And the idea of coveting is I'm unhappy if I don't have it. I'm unhappy if I don't have it. And learning how to have gratitude for what you do have and adjusting your focus. So that way you can happily achieve rather than achieve to be happy. This time, and kind of tying them all together and developing some ideas that you can use for any of them, you can use for all of them, is this closing out lesson. Starting off with envy, and we'll end talking about abundance. Envy is when your good news is bad news to me. Now, envy and jealousy are often used interchangeably in English, so you'll hear these words being bandied back and forth. We like to be a little more specific with some of our definitions. This is one of those categories, where jealousy is about feeling insecure. Envy is about feeling bad because of someone else's good news. And many of the principles we'll discuss apply equally to both. So if I say, oh, I'm so jealous, and I might say that playfully in our culture, I don't usually mean that because you get to go do this cool thing that, you know, I'm feeling insecure about myself. Though some people do. More I'm using it kind of in the envy sense, like, oh, you get to do this cool thing, and I don't get to do this cool thing. I feel bad. I don't get to do the cool thing. But it's so cool that you get to do the cool thing. And that's the playful version. So as we're talking about kind of a more serious envy, when we really are envious, that's when you are bothered, you have a negative reaction to someone else's good news. Now, by the way, when you have a negative reaction to someone's good news, what you do is you put yourself in a position where no one wants to share good news with you. That can also put you in a position where people don't want to celebrate with you. They don't want to involve you in celebrations because you're kind of a downer. The worst case I ever saw is there was a couple that was trying to have a child. And they'd been trying for a while, and then finally, as nothing's happening, they decided to go see a doctor to see if they had a fertility issue. And when they went to go see the doctor told them that, yeah, there does seem to be an issue with this, and that the issue was connected to the woman's fertility. Well, she was devastated. Well, at about the same time, one of her relatives got pregnant. So her and her husband are expecting a baby, and in their culture, there's two things. One is everybody celebrates everything with everyone because the entire extended family is all family. So there's this big deal being made about, oh, we're having another child in the family is growing. And that would be normal. Now, would it be at all surprising to find that this woman who has recently found out, just in the last few weeks, that she cannot have her own biological children might feel hurt? I think the answer there is, of course. Do you think that the good news that her cousin is having might underscore for her the hurt? Absolutely. The envy shows up when she thinks that her cousin's good news is bad news for her. It doesn't just remind her of her hurt. She actually went to the party and she screamed at her cousin, how dare you be celebrating your pregnancy when you know what I'm going through? Okay, that's envy kind of taken out to really out of control levels. It might have been okay while she's still struggling with this. Just don't go to the party. But don't go and yell at your cousin for being happy she's having a baby. That's good news for her. And don't do it at the party in front of the whole family, because then the whole family is looking at her like, what is wrong with you? We always celebrate babies. We celebrate babies. We celebrate weddings. We celebrate the big birthdays. Why are you here if you're going to do this? Envy can really get out of control. And sometimes the envious one is the most clueless one about what they're doing. The reason I know this story is that woman came to me for some coaching. Oh, okay, good. So you want some help dealing with the emotions of the envy? No, what she wanted was a strategy to help her cousin and her family understand that they shouldn't be celebrating this baby when she's going through something that's so hard. And you go, well, that wasn't what I was expecting the session to be about. And so I was, point blank with her. I told her they're supposed to celebrate that. If you would like help having less of a problem with it, I can help you with that. I'm not going to help you tell someone, don't celebrate your baby. If you're having a celebration, I'm not going to help other people tell you, don't celebrate whatever you're celebrating. You want to be part of the celebration. Enjoy the fact that babies are still coming. You may not be able to have one of your own biologically, but that doesn't mean that babies aren't something to be celebrated. And she seemed to have the hardest time understanding why I thought it was still okay to celebrate having a baby when she's suffering from infertility. Sometimes sessions don't go the way you think they're going to go. Some of those people are asking you to help them with things you have absolutely no desire or intention to help them with. And then that makes for a challenging session sometimes, because you're having a conversation that the client really doesn't want to have. But that's envy. Envy, your good news is bad news for me. And they cast it as, because it's bad news for me, almost a bit of, how dare you? They might be, in this case, a, how dare you be pregnant? How dare you celebrate it? How dare you share this with me when you know what I'm going through? When you know where I am in life? When you know that I can't have it or I can't do it? Envy, your good news, is bad news to me. Love does not envy. The love passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, if you want to look it up. The love passage alternately translates with either love is not jealous or love does not envy. If you go flipping through all of the translations, or if you Google it, and you go 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, and you can find a page that has all the different translations. Sometimes it'll say love is not jealous. Sometimes it'll say love does not envy. And it's because the way we use these words in English is so interchangeable. And quite frankly, the ideas are close enough to one another that this one statement really does cover both. Love does not envy and love is not jealous. Now certainly it would appear that both are true. Even if you split the difference on the definitions and you use the jealousy definition or you switch it out for the envy definition, love is not jealous and love does not envy are both true. Our simple definition of love really helps us out here. And hopefully the more you listen to the things that we teach, the more you just have this memorized. Love is, number one, I want the best for you. Number two, I want to be the best for you. Number three, I want you to have transcendent joy. And hopefully if you hang around long enough, you just know these things off the top of your head, and eventually it kind of infuses itself into your heart so that you begin to recognize whenever you say, I love you, you're saying, I want the best for you. You're not saying, I like the way I feel, that you're making a decision to want the best for someone, to choose what's best. So that's love. Love is, I want the best for you. And frankly, the other two are commentary. That when I say I want the best for you, well, if I want to be in your life, I want to be the best for you in your life. And that had a couple of components. One is I want the relationship with you that is best given who you are and who I am. And so that might not be the relationship I might feel emotionally I want to have. That might be a different relationship. It might be a more distant relationship. It could be a simpler thing. If you think about it this way, as a business relationship, that maybe the best relationship you and I can have is to not do business together. Maybe the best relationship we can have is you do business with me. Maybe the best business relationship we can have is I do business with you. Maybe the best business relationship is we do business with each other. And that doing business with can involve various levels of involvement. You could be my law client. You could be my martial arts student. You could just be a parishioner at my church. There's a lot of different places you could interact. You could buy my books. You could buy my audios. Lots of ways you could do business with me. What would be best for our relationship? One of them, none of them, all of them, some combination in there? And then same thing in return. If you're in business, if I'm going to be your customer, what's the best involvement there? Is it something that I really ought to be doing all the time? So like I have one of my boys works at a sandwich shop at a deli. And I'm not his regular customer, but I do go out of my way to make sure that I am periodically his customer. And I try to find it when he's working. I mean, I'm not actually even going to go into the shop and buy anything if he's not working. I'm going there to be his customer as part of my relationship with him, to be encouraging and supportive of his work, encouraging and supportive of him being there, to be a good customer, and just to get to see him being responsible, and for him hopefully to enjoy how much I enjoy watching him be responsible at that level. And that's part of I want to be the best for him. Now, does that mean I need to show up every single day, to hang out for his entire shift? Of course not. And so part of being the best for someone involves, well, who are you, who am I, what is best given the totality of the circumstances. And what gets interesting now this is, suppose I'm in a serious romance with a woman and I realize that for who I am and who she is, this romance isn't best for both of us. That it's not good for her, for me to be involved with her, even if she might still be emotionally hooked on me. If I really want to be the best for her, I either need to change who I am, or I need to change the relationship so it's a better match. And so you can understand some of this. And then I want you to have transcendent joy. Transcendent joy is kind of like you start with pleasure. And pleasure is it feels good right now. It tastes good right now. Whatever it is, it's a sensation. Above pleasure is happiness. Happiness is thinking positive thoughts most of the time. And generally speaking, people feel happy when what we call their happiness rules are being followed. Things are coming or things have happened and they can connect with things that they're grateful for. And that there's nothing disrupting their happiness. Some people have very exacting happiness rules. Everything has to be just so, or they don't allow themselves to be happy. Other people are kind of happy for no reason, and something negative has to happen in order to derail them from being happy. And I tend to fall in that latter camp and advise it. But transcendent joy is the kind of happy-like feeling that transcends the circumstances. That people may have happiness rules that, these kind of things are happening, then I'm happy. Or other people will have happiness rules that say that I'm always happy, these kind of things boost my happiness, and it takes something significantly negative that triggers one of the negative emotions for me to not be happy. But I generally live here. Transcendent joy is that, frankly, life can suck. And you think that it's the kind of life that literally will just suck the life out of you, suck the happiness out of you, and you try to draw you down into pits of despair. And someone who is joyous can weather a lot of negative storms and still have that sense of happiness because they are anchored to bigger things. And the more transcendent that joy is, the bigger and more pervasive the negative storms someone can endure. So love is, I want the best for you. I want to be the best for you. I want you to have transcendent joy. So I want the best for you, so therefore, your good news is good news. So if I love you, if I have that agape character, if I have that character that says love is patient, love is kind, love is not arrogant, does not boast, but love is not jealous, love does not envy. All these things love is not, and we're going to dive into that list in a minute. But if I want the best for you, then if you have good news, well, I want you to have good news. So that means that your good news is good news. I want to be the best for you, so I want to celebrate your good news with you. But if you're having good news, I want to be part of what makes that good news even better. I want to be part of what anchors that good news to a moment that you can remember to hang on to joy, whether or not moments are going well. I was at a jiu-jitsu tournament yesterday. And in particular, I'm noticing this one woman who's in, I'm guessing, her first tournament. At the very least, she's in the white belt grappling division. And she lost both of her matches. When she lost her first match, she seemed a bit shattered. When she lost her second match, and she was on the verge of tears. Now, here's the thing, is I'm watching her. I thought she did a really good job. I mean, it's white belt division. And at her level, I thought she did a really good job. But she apparently felt terrible because however she grew up, whatever she learned, in order to feel good about yourself, you have to be better than others. And that she couldn't feel good about herself because she wasn't better than others. Objectively, I thought she did great. I mean, if I knew who she was, I would have gone and, told her so. If she was my student, I would have encouraged her. Because I was impressed. I mean, she had some pretty serious competition, one of which was our Andrea. But, that was kind of, her problem. She was up against a very formidable opponent. And Andrea will tell you, I mean, the ladies in that division went for it. And she got an armbar on the one woman, and the next woman got an armbar on her. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good trade-off. And so for some people, there's only something to celebrate if they win. But for me, I want to be part of the celebration to anchor to the good times, because when you have good news, sometimes you might not even realize how good your good news is. If I want to be the best for you, I want you to realize the good news you have. I want to be part of that celebration. I want to help anchor that good news as good news. Pardon me. I want to help you be able to remember it, so that later on, next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now, when you're going through any kind of a storm, that can be a moment you can connect to and go, you know what? Overall, life is pretty good. And somewhere in that list of memories is that thing that I helped celebrate, that I helped encourage. That's part of being the best for you. So I want the best for you, so your good news is good news. I want to be the best for you, so I want to celebrate your good news with you. And I want you to have transcendent joy. So I encourage the celebration of your good news. I encourage anchoring yourself, using your memory anchors to reconnect to your good news. Connected to this, I was talking with a husband and wife at one point, and they'd had some pretty fabulous vacations. And the wife was somewhat unhappy because they're going through some difficult times, and when you're going through difficult times, it's not at all unusual for people to be unhappy. But this was one of those situations where it was going to take a while to resolve. And so when you're going through a difficult situation, and it's going to be difficult for a while, do you really want to spend the next 1 to 2 years being miserable? And she really didn't. But, her question was, well, what is there to be happy about? I said, well, I happen to know that you've been on a lot of vacations. Oh, yeah. And she kind of relaxed a bit. We've had some nice vacations. Well, tell me about it. Oh, we've gotten to do a lot of nice stuff. And she had this kind of one chunk of vacations. I said, oh, look at that one thing. How lovely that one thing is. Isn't that one thing great? And as part of encouraging the celebration, so that she can anchor to the transcendent joy of it. And then you think about it, we don't have to do anything different. These things have already been done. Is to break out her vacations one by one. So, well, tell me about one of your favorites, one of your top 3 vacations. It's like, oh, there was this, and then says, oh, well, what did you do on that? Where did you go? And so when it's cruises, well, what ports did you go to? What shore excursions have you done? One was Orlando. Well, tell me about the parks, and what do you really like about the parks? And one was Hawaii. Well, tell me about Hawaii. What did you really like about Hawaii? And as she unpacked all of this, instead of having this one category, vacations, look at that one thing. Isn't that one thing wonderful? We broke it down to dozens of things. And what she could then do during this difficult time is, whenever you need a break from the hard stuff, because sometimes, frankly, you have to be in the middle of the hard stuff. There's hard stuff to be dealt with. You got to work with it. You got to work through it. You got to do what you need to do. But when you need a break from that, if the two of you will just talk about your vacations, these aren't fantasies, these are realities. You've been there, you've done that. You have tangible memories of things that you've seen, things that you've heard, scents that you smell, tastes that you've tasted, sensations that you've gotten to enjoy, roller coasters you've been on, meals that you've gotten to have, sights you've gotten to see, music you've gotten to hear, shows you've gotten to just enjoy and immerse yourself in. And being someone who loves travel himself and does it, I like to really anchor to things. And I take a lot of pictures, especially when I'm by myself, because I really want to not just connect with the moment. I want to be able to anchor that moment where I can keep going back to it. So I'm looking for the good shot. Ooh, good shot. I'll take that shot. And then I'll just linger and I'll enjoy it. And sometimes people don't realize, especially when I'm by myself, how out of my way I go to look for these high points and to really settle into them. And the pictures are there to be anchors to those memories so that I can go back and have that starting point in this photograph to re-immerse myself in it. So I'm not missing it in order to get a picture, in order to post it on social media. That I may get the picture and I may post it on social media, but that's for my own anchor. And to help share and to help teach and to help guide and to help coach. So I encourage celebration of people's good news. And that you can go through some of your greatest times and re-anchor to those, reconnect with those, and really connect to the positive feelings in there. Even if in your difficult time, it just gives you an emotional break from the things you have to do so that you can go enjoy yourself. Now you can do the same thing with anticipation of a future. Now you have to be more careful with this because some people have great difficulty and they over-anticipate and then they feel disappointed. That learning, the whole skill of being able to look forward to things that you hold loosely enough so that if they don't come together, you still enjoy the anticipation without necessarily having to get it. And I know a woman who is a master of that. We were talking about this Uber vacation she wants to take with her husband, and she's describing 2 cruises with a week in between in Europe. There's a cruise to the north and a cruise to the south, and a week, I forget where, if it was either Rome or Paris, but somewhere in Europe they're staying for another week, and she's trying to put it together. Well, she would really like to do this, and she's enjoying the process, but she's also the type of woman where if it doesn't come together, if she can't make it happen, she's not going to be disappointed. She'll just lose the chain of happiness. Now, because we have limits in vocabulary, she might call that disappointment, but really all she means is that, well, the time of the happiness of getting to put it together will go away if we find out we can't do it. But meanwhile, she's really enjoying herself, and even if she can't do it, she'll still enjoy the memories connected to trying to put it together. The good does not become bad because of some future event. Treasure does not become trash because of some future event. So love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the answer to many things. Love is the answer to temptation. Love is the answer to envy. Based on 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, love is the answer to all of those things that love is not. Now it's an interesting thing that the Bible goes out of its way. It's not just to say love is patient, love is kind. it also goes out of its way to tell us what love is not. It says love is not jealous. So this jealousy thing that sometimes people say that, oh, he paid me quite a compliment because he's jealous, so he loves me. No, he's jealous. Love is not jealous. Jealousy is not love. These are two different things. They may show up together a lot, but just because someone feels insecure does not mean they love you. Someone could be jealous because they're possessive of you. You're like a possession to them. Someone could feel jealous because they're territorial. Someone could feel jealous just because they're just an innately insecure person. Someone could feel jealous because they're accustomed to using their emotion to control other people, and they're trying to use their emotion to control you now. And that they're a controlling person. They get insecure whenever they feel like they can't control somebody. So there's a lot of other reasons someone could be jealous. It doesn't equal love. It can show up with love if someone feels insecure that they might be losing your love. And that, that might be very reasonable depending on their behavior, or depending upon your behavior, that they might legitimately have cause to feel insecure. And that would be a reasonable basis for jealousy. But love is not jealous. Being in love does not mean someone's going to be jealous. Jealousy does not mean someone is in love. Love is not jealous. Love does not envy. Love is not boastful. If I want the best for you, if I want to be the best for you, I don't lie about being the best for you. I don't make up stories. I don't create false impressions. I don't steal your spotlight. When we're celebrating you, I don't steal the spotlight and make myself the star of your show. Love is not arrogant. That you don't run roughshod over people. You let people be who people are and have the expertise that they have. In fact, what's interesting connected to the love is not arrogant thing that can be a challenge sometimes is I have some areas of expertise, and including, of course, martial arts mastery and such. And there's one particular woman who for years has found me incredibly intimidating. And part of the reason I was incredibly intimidating to her is she only dealt with me in my areas of mastery. So what does that do? It kind of creates the illusion, oh, Scott's as good at everything. Except I'm not. But it felt that way to her because she would always deal with me in areas where I knew so much more than her. I had so much more experience, so much more education, so much more training. Well, at some point, and I don't even remember exactly how long ago it was, I happened to be near her. I saw on social media that she was fishing with a couple of her friends. And I thought, hey, that's like 3 blocks away from here. And so I swung out and I said hello, and we were visiting. And as we were chatting, she found out that I really don't know that much about fishing, and I certainly don't know that much about fish. And she was kind of excited to show me like little things about like baiting a hook. Oh, wow, I haven't baited a hook since I was a kid. And she wanted me to hang out with her and her female friend and a couple of guy friends and fish a little bit. And so I did, and I caught a fish. I had no idea what it was other than it's a fish. It came out of the water. And I said, oh, you caught it? And I don't remember what she called it, but it was a specific kind of fish. And apparently there's different kinds of fish. And she said, hey, that's cool. You caught your first fish in your entire adult life. And so all of a sudden we're in this area where she's the expert, and I have no clue. And that made her relax. And so I thought that was worth Nick hanging out a few extra minutes and kind of making my day go a little bit longer. Because it gave her a place to connect with me where she's the expert and I'm ignorant. I have no idea. I mean, not just that she knows more than me, that I really have no clue. I mean, complete ignorance on my part. And I like it when people get to do that, especially if they normally interact with me in my areas of mastery. And then more recently, I was having trouble with my car. She knows a lot more about cars than I do. I grew up in the car business. Some people are surprised I don't know that much about cars. But it used to be when I was growing up, problem with the car, take it to the dealership. Mechanic will take care of it. I didn't need to learn about cars. We had a whole staff at my dad's business that knew about cars for me, and it never occurred to me that they weren't always going to be there. And then, one day the business is gone and there's no one to do the oil and the tune-ups and all the other stuff, and now I don't know. And now I don't have the people there to teach. And so then that leaves me ignorant. Well, recently, she's been helping me with some car stuff, changing out a cabin filter. We just did a thermostat in my car, where she gets to be the expert. This is something she knows about, and I don't. No, I'm learning and I'm doing stuff, and so she's in her teacher position. And I've noticed a shift in our relationship, and part of it is that the intimidation factor is gone. I don't intimidate her anymore, because now I can just be a person to her. I'm not Master Conway, Pastor Conway, Attorney Conway. Now just Scott. There's stuff I do know, there's stuff I don't know, there's stuff I'm good at, there's stuff I'm bad at. There's stuff that I have talent, and there's stuff that, forget it. And part of the arrogance is recognizing when you're thinking too highly of yourself or too low of yourself. That if I'm going to have a relationship with you, it's a real relationship. Peers, equal to equal. Some stuff I'm going to be better than you at. Some stuff you're going to be better than me at. I'm totally okay with people being better than me at stuff. And I'm totally okay being better than other people at stuff. I'm also totally okay being better than other people at stuff and having it not matter because that's not relevant to the moment. And you just leave it out. I don't need it to always matter. I don't always need to be the master, the attorney, the pastor, the whatever. And love does not act unbecomingly. It's not rude. It doesn't distract people from the celebrations they're supposed to be having. Love does not seek its own. It's not prejudiced. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't always seek its own way. That has to be my way. Why? Because it's my way. It recognizes there can be a lot of right ways to do something. It doesn't always have to be mine. It doesn't have to be my style of music and my taste in clothes and my style of interior decorating and the kind of things I like to do and the kind of places I like to... That if there's an actual relationship going on here, what matters to you should matter to me because you matter to me. And that's part of love does not seek its own. I mean, as simple a thing as when I had a son playing football. I'm not a big football fan. Mom's the football fan. And so when we got tickets to go see a Charger game, I thought, well, that's great. Mom's a football fan, son's playing football. Mom can take the son to the football game. The interesting thing I found out is, unless it's the Packers playing, Mom really doesn't like going to the games because of the culture of the audience. The game she likes. But she's found from her own personal experience that going to Charger games is something about the San Diego football culture that's different than her Green Bay Packers football culture, and she doesn't like it. And so that kind of creates a little bit of a surprise for me. I thought that'd be cool for the two of them to go. So she suggested, well, why don't you go? And part of the reason she knew that she could suggest it to me is she knows I have a policy. If I love you, what's important to you is important to me because you're important to me. So, my kid's in football. All right, let's go to this football game. And on the way to the football game, we're talking, and he understands, you're not taking me to the football game because you want to see a football game and you're taking me along with you. You're letting me go to a football game because you know I like the football game even though this isn't your thing. And that the boys all recognize that whole what's important to you becomes important to me. And they've noticed that with girlfriends in particular. Every time I've met a girlfriend, she's always known beforehand that she is automatically important to me because she's important to him. And that if I develop enough of a relationship with her as an individual, she can be important to me directly. But even if I never get to know her very well, she will always be important to me while she's important to him. So we went to this football game. And I warned him, I may have to ask you a lot of questions because I have the basics. I know field goals and 4 downs. And so, but every once in a while, I'll see a flag toss. I don't know what it was tossed for. Yards get moved forward or back. I don't know what happened. And we had a good time. And he got to be the expert. And and I'm joking around with him. It's like, okay, so now they get close enough. Will he be able to shoot a basket? And being playful with stuff and playful with my ignorance. But it's not seeking my own and making them enjoy what I enjoy. It's also connecting to what they enjoy, what means something to them. Love is not provoked, which means it doesn't make other people responsible for its happiness. So you're not responsible for how I feel, nor should you be. Now you may do things that I get upset about, but that doesn't mean you're responsible for the way I feel. you're responsible for what you did. You're not responsible for how I feel about what you did. Now, what you did might reasonably connect to me being upset. But that doesn't mean you're responsible for how I feel. That just means you're responsible for what you did. Because it could also happen, I get really upset when you really didn't do anything wrong. You know, it could have just been an ordinary mistake. Or it might not even have been a mistake. You might have done exactly what you were supposed to do. It's just that I didn't like it. My feelings shouldn't determine how you behave. But if I'm unloving, well, then I make you responsible for my feelings. And I expect your behavior to change based on how I feel, rather than whatever needs a change should change and whatever shouldn't need a change shouldn't change, and that's up to you. Love does not take into account a wrong suffered. That means that love is very forgiving. Love is very understanding. Love understands nobody's perfect. Love understands people make a mistake. Love understands that people do stupid things. Love will let things go. Now, that doesn't mean I don't learn from stuff. It's not that I don't take into account who you are and create a relationship accordingly or adjust the relationship accordingly. It means that I'm not going to hold the event against you. Other than as me learning about you, I'm not going to dig this up in a year or 5 years or 10 years as a weapon to wield against you in a fight. That would be not only taking into account the wrong suffered, that would be storing up the wrong suffered and putting it in my armory so I can bring it out and beat you over the head with it later on if I might need it. Love does not rejoice in unrighteousness, and so there's stuff that love is not. So when you have an agape character, the kind of character that not only is what love is, the kind of character that also is not what love is not, a loved one's good news is your good news. So if something happens to you that's good news to you, to whatever extent I have an agape character, I have that God-given loving heart, that agape unconditional love heart where in my character I am not these things that love is not. I am these things that love is. So I is what love is, or I am what love am. I is not what love is not. I am not what love am not. Then the loved one's good news is your good news. If I love you, your good news is my good news. And if I have an agape character and I love people in general, anybody's good news can be my good news. And imagine if I live a life where anybody's good news is my good news, I have this never-ending stream of good news. Because somebody I know is always having some good news. And especially in this day and age of thanks to social media, you might be hearing lots of good news. It might not even be as good news as they're posting. But you can still enjoy it and celebrate it with them and get this endless stream of good news. Now, envy happens when I feel like less because you seem like more to me. When I feel like less because you seem like more to me. We often use "I'm so jealous" here playfully. The times we use the phrase are often when someone gets something that we would like to get and we don't get it. And we would use the word envy in this spot. And when we use the term playfully, many people really do feel envious in reality, sometimes bitterly so. So here's the problem in here. The problem is I feel like less. I feel like less because someone else seems like more. The I feel like less part causes us sometimes to miss out on all sorts of wonderful things. Some people feel bad being around opulence because rather than being a brush with abundance, it only underscores their own lack to them. Some people feel bad being around success because to them it underscores their own failure. They end up missing out on a lot of wonderful things because their emotions push the best things away. So there's a few levels of envy we can look at in this. One is, well, if they have it, I want it too. That I want it too level of envy. Now this can be sometimes the most innocuous level of envy. Another one is, if they have it, I want one even better. And that's a more competitive level of envy. And a really nasty one is, well, I can't have it. I don't want them to have it. Now, you see this kind sometimes when relationships break. Well, if I can't have you, nobody can have you. And that they try to undermine and sabotage someone else's future and their happiness and their joy and their love because, well, if I can't have it, I don't want anyone else to have it either. A better use of other people's blessings. If they have it, I want to celebrate that they have it. And if they have it, I want to provide value so I deserve that value or my version of it. And I want them to have it even if I can't have it. That my celebration of someone else having it is entirely disconnected from whether or not I can have it. Now, of course, pastors, being the spiritual giants that we are, never succumb to envy. Yeah, right. We wish that were the case. Oh my goodness, life would be so much more fun. A pastor friend of mine was actually sharing this story, and he thought it was so ironic because it was connected to ministry. So his church used to be in a church building. It was an older building, and it was getting a bit run down, and they were losing that church building because the owner of the property was putting it up for sale. And so they were moving their church, and it worked out pretty good because his church was growing, it was getting bigger. They had a couple of wealthy donors in there. They had one person who was a general contractor whose business was going very well. They had a chiropractor whose business was going very well. They had an attorney whose business was going very well. All three of them were tithers, and some being even more generous than tithing, and were just investing in the church. And so they had plenty of money in order to move. And so they moved to a new church building, and a lot of people were volunteering. A lot of the guys were coming out and helping out with the construction, and a lot of the ladies were coming out and helping out with different levels of the construction and the decorating, and it was really coming together pretty nice. Well, one day he's driving by the old church building, and he sees some massive renovations going on there, and he's wondering what's going on. Well, he goes up there and he finds out that they have a really large donor that donated a significant chunk of money so that they could not only buy the property, but they could completely remodel the building. And he said, wow, that's a really nice piece of work. And he realized he started to feel bad. Well, how come we don't get to do something like this? I have three donors that are doing pretty well, but we don't have the kind of money to do something like this. And he realized that the green-eyed monster was arising in his heart over ministry, over doing God's work. And he was actually getting upset that God was blessing this other church. And when he realized, and it took him a while, but when he really realized, well, what am I getting jealous of? I'm getting jealous of God's blessing on one of God's churches. That's ridiculous. Because he teaches this idea that if God's hand is on your church, you give praise to God. And thinking God's hand is on that church, I should be giving praise to God because God is touching hearts. God is touching lives. And here I am, a pastor, getting upset that a church is getting blessed. And so what he conditioned himself to say, because he had to drive right by that building every single day on his way to his new building, and he learned to keep saying, Lord, bless them, and please bless me too. Bless that church, and please bless our church too. And learn to celebrate the other church's blessing. So if they have it, I want it too. It's celebrate that they have it. He had to learn to celebrate that they had it. He had to learn that, their job is to do their job. Whatever God's assignment is for them. My job is to do my job. Whatever God's assignment is for me. And so I will continue to be the best pastor I can be for my people. Continue to do my outreach. Continue to do my work. That's my assignment. And that I want them to have it. I want them to be blessed. Even if I can't, I will ask for the blessing because I do want it. But my celebrating with them is disconnected from whether I get it too. And even a pastor had to learn this lesson. Now, some people use envy to fuel their ambition. And I've heard people say, well, you know, you got to keep yourself going. You have to keep yourself motivated. And what they really mean is they want to be negatively motivated. They are feeling bad in order to try to do good. Better, I think, is to find positive reasons to move forward. Because when you're being envious, you're not happy. And if you're not happy, if you're upset, annoyed, bitter, if you're feeling the lack, what is that probably doing to the relationships around you? What is that probably doing to your stress levels? What is that doing to the bite in your tone of voice when you're communicating? The words that you might not even realize you're choosing when you're talking to somebody else. And to your emotional state. Some people live in the perpetual "I will be happy when," and whatever the when is, and that's the rule set that I have. Well, if I can only buy that condo, then stop renting, then I'll be happy. Oh, I only have a condo. If I can buy a house, then I can be happy. And oh, now I only have a house. Well, if I can buy a bigger house and a better neighbor, then I can be happy. Oh, I have an old, beat-up used car. If only I could get a newer car. It was just newer. Then I could be happy. And then when they get that, if only I had a new car, then I could be happy. And the people who do this, I'll be happy when, they're very rarely happy when. Because when they get there, now they have to be somewhere else. And some people, they're a little bit more healthy about it. That at least when they get there, they'll celebrate. And they'll spend sometimes a day or two in celebration. Sometimes a week or two in celebration. They'll go do something to celebrate. We've achieved this goal. And then I see them a month later, and now they're unhappy again. Because you got to get this next goal. And I can be happy when I get this next goal. I give myself permission. This is what it boils down to. I give myself permission to enjoy victory for about 3 weeks. And then after that, it was back to misery because you got to keep going. And you go, why would you want to live that way? So others rely upon never being happy. One of life's big goals is to be happy. The whole founding of the United States of America was the right to pursue happiness, not the right to keep pushing happiness away. Although you have that right too. So be happy now. Be consistently happy as you create more abundance in your life. Make it an adventure. Make it a relationship with abundance. Now think of abundance as a woman. And if you're a woman, you can think of abundance as a man. Actually, I have a lady friend of mine. For women in business, she calls it the money honey. And for me, I think of it as lady abundance. And so, but whatever works for you. I mean, if money honey is kind of cute, I should probably consider doing money honey. But think of abundance as a woman. The Bible personifies wisdom as a woman, and Proverbs personifications use of nature, of sin, of wisdom, geographical areas, money, and more. So since God's word is so generous with personifications, but we'll take the same liberty with abundance. Abundance visits friends to say she's near. She pops by for a visit. Your money honey pops by, people you know, for a visit and comes to see you and say hi. Anytime something good happens to someone close to us, that's abundance visiting nearby. Visiting my friends, visiting my family, touching nearby. I may not get any direct benefit from the abundance other than the proximity of her visit. But I see that as a way for her to let me know I'm around. Sometimes we complain, well, in this economy, well, if abundance shows up in the life of someone else in this economy, that means she's around in this economy. Oh, well, this government administration, and abundance shows up somewhere around. That shows abundance is still around, even with this administration. Abundance is around, even with all these things going on. She's still around. She's visiting people. She's hanging out with people. That means she can visit you. She can come be part of your life too. Because she's still around, no matter the economy. She's still around, no matter who's in the White House. She's still around, no matter what the tax structure is like. She's still around, no matter what businesses are popping up or going away. She's still around. And that helps us understand that, it's not these big things that stop her from existing. She's still around. It's a chance to see her. To see her touch lives that matter to us. That let us share in the joy and the blessing of her presence, whether or not we get a direct, tangible benefit. A couple of key ideas here. It is said that we are the average of the 5 people we make most important to us. We are the average of the 5 people we make most important to us. The people we most count as our peers. The people that we most associate with. The people that we most consider part of our circle. The people that we most value. It is also said that 80% of us will have incomes within about 20% of the average income of the 5 people we spend the most time with. I'm going to say that one again. 80% of us. So that means if there's a group of 5 people, 4 of the 5 people will have incomes within about 20% of the average income of the group. There may be one outlier, high or low, but typically you're going to be within 20% of the middle of that group. If either of those are true, if you are the average of the 5 people or your income is going to be within 20% of the middle of your group, then having abundance touch one of those 5 lives is always good news. So if your income goes up and the median income or the middle income, the mean income of our group has now gone up, and I'm down at the bottom edge, that means that in all probability, the totality of the influences on my life are going to draw me forward to do things that will produce more value for which I will get paid so that my income stays within that bell curve. So when abundance shows up in someone's life in that circle, that's a good thing. And if I end up being the one outlier down low, that's an exceptionally good thing because that's likely to draw me forward. If we learn to love people around us, then their good news is it's good news. It's our good news. Personally affecting me, it's my good news. That someone that matters to me has good news. And as we learn to treat abundance as a visitor to lives close to us, telling us she's near, then their good news is our good news. It creates this synergy, it creates this energy that draws me forward. If it's good news to me. If it's bad news to me, if I get jealous, if I get envious, if I feel less, if I feel insecure, and I push the abundance away, I push the good news away, I make that good news as bad news for me, then I separate myself from abundance. Abundance invites us to visit. Today, more than ever in history, anyone can visit abundance. We can go to stores. We can enjoy all the things there, whether we can afford them or not. We can visit nice resorts. That when I have a nice laptop computer with really good battery life, and which actually I do right now. I did it for a while. I had to find a place to plug in because the battery was going bad. But now I can sit down and work for hours. What I like to do is go to nice places. I'll go to the zoo. I've got like 3 or 4 different places I can camp out at the zoo and work there. Now the last time I was there, I found in about 3 hours, I got the same productivity I did in about 10 hours in the previous 2 weeks I've been working on this project. And I go, well, that's huge. I've gone down to the Hotel del Coronado and found an out-of-the-way table so that way I'm not taking up business from somebody. And sat down and I worked there, so I'm just around this opulence. And I love doing that. I get to go visit abundance. She's hanging out all over the place. And I can go see her anytime because I know where she hangs out. She hangs out at the zoo. She hangs out at the safari park. She hangs out at the Hotel Del. She hangs out at all these great places. I can go down to Fashion Valley, which is where some of our higher end stores are, and I can go enjoy all of those things. Heck, for that matter, even if you're a Walmart shopper, just wander around the store and look at some of the cool things that you might not be interested in getting it, but there's some cool stuff you run into. I just happened to be at Walmart the other day, and I'm looking around and go, hey, I didn't even know that existed. Well, that's pretty interesting. Went and looked at it, not buying it. I don't even remember what it is now. But I remember thinking, well, what is that? That looks pretty interesting. And it's abundance, inviting me to come visit. Say, hey, check this out. Isn't this interesting that you live in a world where something like this exists? Isn't that cool? We can do the periodic opulent thing as a high point. We did a thing that was unexpectedly opulent, admittedly. I invited some friends to a restaurant. Turned out it was a little more expensive than I was expecting it to be, but it worked out because I had enough money to cover it. And it was awesome. Wow, talk about an opulent experience. Now, that's not something we could go do every night. That would burn through our money really, really, really fast. But as a high point, getting to do opulent things like that, then for years we'll be able to say, oh, do you remember that restaurant? Oh my gosh, that was so good. And and just having the stories you can connect back to, it's just this periodic opulent thing that you save up for. It's not that you do it going in. It's kind of like families on food stamps, which things wait until you get the food stamp money and then they go buy all their stuff. And instead, if you're kind of in more lean times, save up for it. So if you know you've got this party coming up and you know you want to get some nice stuff to celebrate, like this significant birthday or something, save up for it. And then go do it. Now, there's a note in here if you're going to stores. Do not take others' time as a prospective customer if you're not a prospective customer. So if you go into a camera shop and ask him to show you all the details of the camera, you go into a technology shop and you ask him to show you all the stuff, and you're taking up the shopkeeper's time so that you use their expertise to help you make the choice, and then you can go online and get it cheaper. Okay, that's like stealing. You're stealing somebody's time. And then if you know you're not a customer and nobody else is there and you're just having a nice visit, that's fine. But when other customers show up, never take a shopkeeper's time if you're not going to buy it or prospectively buy it from them. And if you're not going to buy it at all, don't take up a shopkeeper's time in a way that's not enjoyable for them. And certainly don't take them away from prospective paying customers. And so I'll even do that sometimes when I'm visiting with someone. I'm talking to them about their interesting shopping stuff. And let them know, I'm not here to buy anything, because I want them to know that. So, but you have a lot of interesting things in the shop, and we'll chit-chat about it. But as soon as a potential paying customer shows up, I say, well, I'll let you go work with your legitimate prospects. Thank you for the time. And so don't take up others' time, because that costs the business money if they could be making some money. Now, abundance reminds us that she's always open to relationship with us. Abundance reminds us. She reminds us. He reminds us. The money honey reminds us. We always have an opportunity for the relationship. We can have any relationship with abundance that we choose. We can enjoy all the abundance around us, all the opportunity around us, and all the blessings that come into any lives near us. We can visit abundance. We can enjoy all of the abundance that comes near us. All the abundance that we can touch. All the abundance we can see. All the abundance that we can just be near. And we can seek opportunity to have a direct relationship with her. So we experience the abundance directly in our own lives and enjoy the relationship we already have with abundance. It's summertime as I'm recording this right now, and we've had some pretty hot days. Boy, am I grateful for air conditioning. King Solomon couldn't get air conditioning. I can have air conditioning. Went to go see a movie in the theater. King Solomon, with all his riches, could not have seen entertainment like that. I can go see entertainment like that for a few bucks. Well, actually, I guess technically it was almost like free because I had this coupon. I know that the coupon cost money, but I didn't buy it. It was a gift. And so I think, like, how much did it cost for me to go enjoy that scale of entertainment? King Solomon couldn't have done that with all of his riches. And that's part of enjoying the relationship with abundance I already have. I have a car. It might not be a new car, but I have a car. King Solomon could not have traveled the world at the speed I can travel the world. You know, I got in my car and I headed off to go see my friends compete. If King Solomon wanted to go see his friends compete and they were the exact same number of miles away, he might have had to leave the day before. I could leave 20 minutes before. King Solomon couldn't get around as fast as me because I live in an abundant world. I live in a world of entertainment. I live in a world of conveniences. I live in a world of technology. I live in a world of opportunity. And I have, by the way, a multi-million-dollar library called the public library. Everybody has this library. But I got in this kick about wanting to see some classic movies and wanting to see some stuff that gets referenced a lot. I just haven't seen it. But I really don't want to buy the DVD, but I do kind of want to see it. And I could try to find a place that has it available as a rental and such, but the public library has this really cool DVD section. And it's like one parking lot over from my bank, and so I'll swing in and say, well, what do you got? And I got in this kick of these old classic movies, American in Paris, and Singing in the Rain, and Casablanca, and getting the DVD and watching the special features. But wow, learning a lot of interesting things. Well, that's abundance. What does that actually cost? Nothing. I had this little card that they give me for free, and they let me walk in and walk out with hundreds of dollars of DVDs on nothing more than the promise that I'm going to bring them back. I think that's amazing. I live in an abundant world. And notice the things I'm talking about don't cost a lot of money. It's not like, oh, I live in an abundant world because, I make $150,000 a year and get to go do all these great things. I'm talking about stuff the average, relatively poor person can still experience. We can seek the opportunity to have a direct relationship with abundance. And we can also recognize how powerful a relationship with her we already have. Think of all the incredible things we get to be around. And the more we focus on that abundance, the more joy we can have in our lives, and the more we can realize all that we have. And the more we can recognize that, the more we can also recognize that when good news comes near us, that's good news in the world. That's good news in our lives, that collectively our lives, and that any good news that comes to our group, any good news that comes to our family, is good news for everyone in the group, is good news for everyone in the family. Anytime abundance shows up anywhere near us, that's abundance showing up. And that we can work to develop the relationship with her that we choose. And part of it, certainly in any human relationship, if in my relationship with you I'm always focusing on what I'm not getting from you, that's not going to help our relationship. But if I focus on what I am getting from you, and I work to build more of a relationship, if I'm a better friend to you, so that you're a better friend to me, rather than I'm a demanding friend that keeps demanding from you, we'll have a better relationship. And it's the same thing with abundance. So for envy, your good news is bad news for me. And the more of an abundant lifestyle is good news is good news. A loving lifestyle, good news is good news. A grateful lifestyle, I love what I already have. And I appreciate all that I have. An attitude of gratitude. Be thankful for everything you would not want to lose. And live an abundant life. And things like coveting and things like envy will fall by the wayside. Thank you.